I always knew my parents preferred my younger brother, Sam. He was the golden child, straight A's, football captain, charming and charismatic, the kind of son they paraded around like a trophy. I was quieter, more creative. I wrote poetry, painted, and once got second place in a national short story competition, but they didn't even frame the certificate. It's just writing, my dad had said, not something real like what Sam's doing. I had learned not to expect applause from them. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. But nothing prepared me for the day they decided my wedding wasn't worth showing up for. My fiancé, Julian, was everything I had ever hoped for. Kind, intelligent, patient, and someone who loved the parts of me my parents never noticed. We met during grad school, both of us pursuing our dreams without needing applause. He was there for me through every family dinner where I was invisible, through every holiday where my gifts were always an afterthought, and through every moment where I questioned if I'd ever be enough. When we got engaged, I told my parents, expecting at least a trace of joy, but Mom's response was, "Oh, that's soon. Are you sure?" And Dad just muttered something about hoping I wouldn't be too emotional on the big day. We sent out the invitations. We even arranged a shuttle from their town to the venue just so travel wouldn't be an excuse. I still remember calling them a week before, confirming everything. Mom was non-committal, saying she had to check the calendar. It was the same tone she used when I invited her to my college graduation. She never came to that either. Then came the wedding day. Everything was beautiful. Warm sunlight through the chapel windows, music floating through the air. Julian looking at me like I was the only person that mattered. My friends were there. His family was there. My parents' chairs were empty. I tried not to let it ruin the moment. I tried to focus on Julian's hand holding mine as we said our vows. But when the reception started and I saw Sam posting Instagram stories of a barbecue in my parents' backyard, grilling, laughing, even the dog wearing a party hat, something inside me cracked. I left the reception for a moment and stepped outside. The sky was painted with twilight, a gentle breeze brushing my face. Julian followed me out and said, "They're the ones who missed out." I nodded, but I couldn't say anything. Not yet. I didn't cry, not because I wasn't hurt, but because I had learned long ago not to give them that kind of power. Instead, I made a choice. That night, after the guests had gone and Julian and I were alone in our small hotel suite, I looked him in the eyes and said, "They don't get to be part of our future unless they earn it." He kissed my forehead and said, "I'm with you, whatever you decide." Weeks went by. No apology came. No call. Just silence. Until one evening, 2 months after the wedding, I visited them. Not out of forgiveness, but because I needed to know why. I sat across from them at the kitchen table and asked, "Why didn't you come?" My mom sipped her tea, shrugged, and said, "We thought it was more of a low-key thing, nothing formal. Besides, Sam was in town. We haven't all been together in a while." Then my father chuckled and said, "Come on, don't be so sensitive. It's not like it was a royal wedding. We'll come to the next one if there is one." He laughed. Mom laughed too. That's when I knew something deeper than disappointment had settled inside me. It was detachment. They hadn't just skipped my wedding. They had laughed at my pain, and I promised myself that day, if they ever came to need me, really need me, I would remember this moment. I didn't have to wait long. A full year passed. Not a single call from them. Not even a message on my birthday. Not even when Julian was in the hospital for a week with appendicitis. Not even when I released my first published article in a national journal. Just silence. The same kind of silence that had echoed on the pews the day I said, "I do," in front of people who actually loved me. It hurt deeply, but I channeled every ounce of that pain into building a life that didn't need their applause. Then one cold morning in January, a message came in. "Mom's been diagnosed," my cousin wrote. "Ovarian cancer, stage 2. She didn't want to tell you, but I thought you should know." I didn't know what to do with that. She was still my mother, but was I still her daughter? I sat with it for a week, then another, until one rainy Tuesday, Julian sat next to me and gently said, "If you go, go for you, not for them, not to fix what they broke, just so you never carry the regret of wondering." So I went. The house looked smaller than I remembered, duller. The garden she once meticulously kept was dry and overgrown. I rang the bell, unsure of what I even wanted to say. Dad opened the door, and for a moment, he just stared at me like I was a ghost. "Come in," he finally mumbled, stepping aside. I saw her on the couch, thinner, hair already starting to fall out in patches, wrapped in a knitted blanket. She looked up, and for a second, something flashed in her eyes. Not quite remorse, not quite joy, just something close to surprise. "I didn't expect you," she said. I nodded. "I didn't expect to come." She looked down. "You always had a strong heart. No apology, no warmth, just a passive comment." But this time I didn't shrink. "I came because I needed closure," I said, my voice calm but firm, "because I need to say the things you never had the courage to." I sat across from her. "You laughed when I asked why you missed my wedding. Do you know what that felt like? Like I was begging for scraps of affection from people who were supposed to be the foundation of my life." She looked away, her fingers trembling slightly. "You poured everything into Sam because he was loud, flashy, charming, but you never stopped to see the daughter who stayed up all night writing, who paid for her own classes, who held herself together while you chased someone else's version of success." A tear slid down her cheek. She didn't wipe it. "I'm not angry anymore," I continued. "I'm just sad for the version of me who waited for you to notice her, and for the version of you who might never understand what you lost." Silence. When I stood to leave, she reached out and touched my hand weakly. I, I don't know how to fix it," she whispered. "You don't," I said gently. "You just learn to live with the consequences of what you chose, just like I did." I walked out of the house lighter than I'd ever felt, not because anything was healed, but because I had finally stopped hoping they would be the parents I once needed. 3 months later, they reached out again. "We need help with the hospital bills," my dad wrote. "Anything you can do would mean a lot." This time, I didn't respond right away. I sat with the message for a while, then opened my email and sent them a simple reply. "You needed me when I was a child. You chose not to show up. Now you need me again, and I've built a life without you in it. I wish you peace, but I won't set myself on fire to keep you warm." I pressed send. It was not revenge, it was not cruelty. It was clarity. The kind that grows when you finally understand that forgiveness does not always mean reconnection, that love to be real must be mutual, and that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away without bitterness, but with firm, unwavering self-respect. Years later, I would give a TED Talk. I stood on the stage in front of hundreds telling the story of a girl who bloomed without water, who planted herself in concrete and still found a way to rise, who learned that the absence of love does not mean the absence of worth. And in the back row, Julian sat smiling the way he always did when I succeeded. Not because of who clapped for me, but because I finally clapped for myself. And as I stepped off that stage to a standing ovation, I realized I never needed their validation. I just needed my own voice. And now the whole world was listening. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where you're watching this video.